founder and CEO of Reaction. This is Erin, our co-founder and CTO. We are recording this live from our headquarters in Santa Monica, where it's 7 a.m., bright and early. We've had lots of donuts and coffee already. I'm going to jump in and we'll talk about the agenda. So I'm going to do a quick intro and overview, and then Erin and Spencer are going to do a marketplace demo and share an update on our progress. We're also going to show a demo of our Shopify Sync, and then Machiko is going to do a update and demo of our docs. We've been making a lot of progress on our docs, and then we'll do a bunch of Q&A. You notice that we're using we're using Zoom instead of Crowdcast. So if you have questions, there's a Q&A button up at the top of your screen, and there's also a chat button. You can choose to chat just with us. You can select, or you can choose to chat with everyone who's participating. So please don't be shy. Ask lots of questions. We'll try to get to everything. And of course, if we can't, we'll do make sure we cover any open questions in our recap. Great. So Reaction's both an open source commerce platform as well as a managed platform as a service. Our open source code base is available for everyone to download via our GitHub repo. It's GPL licensed. You are free to download it, modify it, extend it, or customize it. Our commercial offering is our managed platform. We like to say that we try to reduce your DevOps headaches. I'm sure that if you're participating today that you're pretty familiar with Reaction Commerce, but if you would like to see a demo of either Reaction Core or of the managed platform, just reach out to us. You can send an email to hello@reactioncommerce.com and we'll get something scheduled and walk you through the platform. So this is the team, or some of the team, pictures from our headquarters here in Santa Monica. We are hiring. You can go to reactioncommerce.com/careers. And in fact, we'll be ramping up on our hiring in the next month or two. So if you don't see a position up there now that interests you, don't be shy. Just submit and we'll get back to you. And we'll be opening up more and more positions literally in the next 30 to 60 days. So if you're interested in working with us, we are mostly based here in Los Angeles, but we are distributed. We have teammates in the Bay Area, in Colorado, in Connecticut, in the Philippines, in Africa. So geography is not a limiting factor if you want to work on the Reaction Core team. Okay, these are the ways you can get involved. We welcome contributions. You can follow all of our progress on GitHub. Everything's in GitHub issues, all the milestones. We have bi-weekly community chats, also done via Zoom. Our community calendars published publicly. You can find that through our docs. If you're a development partner, an agency, or you're working with clients and you want to get involved more closely with us, definitely visit our website. We'd love to partner with you. We're super active in chat, which I'm sure you all know. So that's Gitter, our forums, and then we do these reaction actions at least monthly. So lots of ways to get involved and to reach the core team, as well as the growing community out there. Okay, I know this is the most important slide, T-shirts. So if you're interested in receiving a Reaction Commerce T-shirt like Erin is wearing, we have this sort of light gray as well as a darker gray. The URL is up here on the slides, and I'm sure it's going to be already, or it already is in the chat. Fill out the information, give us your address, your shipping information, and we'll get those out to you as soon as possible. So I think that's it for my intros. We're going to jump into Erin and Spencer doing a demo of both Marketplace and also of the Shopify Sync. And again, please ask questions. I'll be moderating throughout and taking questions. We're just going to switch screens. And Spencer is live from Colorado.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Spencer.
So Marketplace is the active branch that we're doing all the development on. And some people might notice last week or so we deprecated and killed the development branch. So there is no longer a development branch. Marketplace is getting really close to us making this the primary master release. We're looking at the week of the 15th, so 2 weeks from now. Is what we're aiming for the marketplace release. And there's, this is the hard part of any release. We're at the last 20% of wrapping up all of the pieces. So there's still a fair amount of pieces that we're gluing together, but you can really see what's going on now. If you go ahead and check out the marketplace branch, you'll be able to see the functionality that we're overviewing now. So I'm going to sign in as a Reaction marketplace owner, which is the initial shop owner that sets up a shop. And this marketplace owner has already imported some products as well as created a few shops. So we can see that there is multiple shops already created, Reaction 1 and Reaction 2. I didn't bother renaming those shops. And if I go to one of those shops, I'll be able to see just the product from that shop. So Reaction 1 has imported a bunch of camping goods stores products. Reaction 2, I'm not sure what we imported. Maybe nothing. I just froze. This is a live demo, so it's real.
Which means if something goes wrong, it will go wrong.
Yeah. So Reaction 2, we had a little switch problem there, but Reaction 1. And then what the marketplace does is you go into the shop settings and you can go to the marketplace settings under shop settings and you can invite a user. So I can do this will send an email to the marketplace shop owner who can then accept an invite to the shop, which I'm not going to do.
So another thing that does is it also creates a brand new shop underneath the existing marketplace. So now we have, as you can see, we have Reaction 3, which will be a new empty shop created specifically for the user that we just invited.
Okay, Spencer and Aaron, let's take that question that's up right there. Can shops be set to different domains?
Yes, so we actually do check different domains to determine the shop ID at the top. Right now we have a selector when we're in development mode, so you can actually set that shop ID manually, but there is a difference in how other systems work a little bit in that we're actually matching the domain to the shop ID, and that's one of several different ways that the shop ID can be set. I switched to the Reaction 3, which is the shop that we just created. I'm still the market owner, but you can also see that the permissions on this shop are restricted to just the packages that were created. So when the shop is initially created from that marketplace shop, you can designate what permissions are actually granted to that shop. If I go back.
And can you change that shop name?
The way we accomplish this is actually by enabling or disabling certain packages. So it's a feature right now that does not have a UI element, but within the marketplace settings, there is a way to define which packages the merchant shops underneath your marketplace should have access to. So you can turn on or off shipping. You can turn on or off, the ability for marketplace owners to set their own coupon codes and stuff like that. But that's all the types of settings that exist within Marketplace. And as we build this out, we'll enable more of the UI so that you can turn on and off. But the basic version is that there's a limited set of packages that get installed for each shop.
To answer that question, yes, you can. Well, you should be able to. Error. But yes, you can. Each one of those, the reaction 1, reaction 2, reaction 3, can be renamed by the marketplace merchant, or the owner. And so what we're working on right now is an onboarding experience that'll actually say to that new merchant when they first log in, set my default shop, provide my default information, and we're trying to make that a very flexible onboarding experience so that you can say, okay, this shop might require email, payment methods, and shipping to be pre-configured by the actual merchant and not the owner. Therefore, in the onboarding experience, we're going to show them those through things. We're going to pop out the sidebar. We're going to show them those things that they need to fulfill that are just a requirement for this particular marketplace. So some other marketplace may decide we're going to use the marketplace payment method, the marketplace shipping method, and the marketplace is going to be the owner of all of that stuff. And in that particular case, we would just disable all of that as being visible to the marketplace merchants. Spencer, you want to real quickly, you want me to show the Shopify importer, and you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about this real quick. So another thing that we finished up within the last month is a Shopify importer. It's the first stage of a Shopify connector that will do a lot more than just importing products. But right now what it does is you put a custom or private Shopify app into your Shopify store, and you copy those keys and your Shopify slug over into your reaction shop. And then you can pull every single Shopify product that you have over, and we create reaction variants and options. We import the product images, and we import the tags, and we set all of that up as your reaction shop. And this can be done separately for each merchant. So if you have a marketplace that has several different shops that live underneath it, each of them could import from Shopify, and they could each have a separate Shopify connection there. The next stage, which I'm working on right now, is to kind of evolve that into more of a sync with Shopify, so that you can actually have stores that are on Shopify but also part of a reaction marketplace. And so if you have a sale on Shopify, the order that happens on Shopify then can update the inventory in the reaction shop, so that you don't have to worry about your inventory getting out of sync because you have your orders both on Shopify and reaction. So that's kind of the next stage of this Shopify connector. And one of the things that we're trying to do with these connectors and some of these payment methods and stuff like that is to provide a great example, so that if you actually run a Magento shop and not a Shopify shop, you could use our Shopify connector as a base and then go out and build a Magento 2 connector, or a Magento 1 connector, or a Spree connector. And so our goal is to provide these kind of base level elements, and I think it should be fairly simple for you to go in and essentially extend the Shopify connector to fit Magento's needs. And so we'd love to see community contributors building some of these additional connectors, especially if you have extensive experience with that particular shop or that particular platform.
I'm going to try to, Spencer, I'm trying to copy your credentials, and everyone saw that from Slack here to.
Yes. Trying to hide these secret keys.
Yeah, which
are for fake shops, so it's not a big deal. But
well, nobody actually saw the secret key, but I wanted to show them.
Yeah.
Well, now they don't, because we actually changed this last night, so we have.
Another question here is, can merchants sign up to have a new shop on the front end instead of being added through the central admin portal? And will the onboarding process be implemented in a multi-step pattern that uses a local storage to persist the data. So to answer the first question, yes, that was actually the way it was originally developed, is that any user could then sign up to host a shop on the marketplace. We've since kind of hidden that functionality. And so now you can do either or both. So if you're if one of your settings is that merchants can sign themselves up, then from the user profile, they can actually create a store. And I'm fairly certain that still works. And then what we've added is a way for an admin to invite a user by email. So you can have either type of shop, one where users have to be invited to create a shop on your marketplace, and another where it's just an open marketplace and anyone who is a user can create their own shop. And then, will the onboarding process be implemented in a multi-step pattern that uses local storage to persist the data? I'm not sure exactly what the technology that we're using to persist a multi-step onboarding process is, but the answer is yes. We are working through this onboarding process that will allow shop owners to create, their shop name, their email, import products, pretty much do all of the first steps that they need to do, so that when their shop is live, they have all of their settings appropriately set up.
We have some links to that as well, the images for the onboarding that we're working on as well, that we can drop into the chat.
Yeah, Ryan's been working pretty hard at designing those, so yep. Yes.
And Spencer, I know you covered this, but the question from Leroy is that they're also a Magento 2 connector on the roadmap. So there are multiple connectors being developed by the community for other platforms. And if you're interested in helping to build a connector, definitely communicate with us through our chat or through GitHub issues, and we'll help to move those along.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I answered in the way I answered this before, but we would love to see a community owner for things like the Magento plugin or the Spree plugin, and we'd love to provide help as you guys develop that. But we really want to see more community-owned plugins, and especially things like a Magento connector or a Spree connector. If you guys are actively using those shops and actively building reaction shops to transfer data from a Magento shop, you're going to be a better owner for that than the reaction core team will. So we built the Shopify connector kind of as a initial example of how to do a connector right. But we would love to help you guys actually build an additional connector.
I guess the last huge thing that's in Marketplace is the split fulfillment and split shipping changes to orders, as well as a much more advanced order management panel. So one of the things that we expect is that the market merchants will be doing fulfillment of product, but you'll want to manage all of this through the console. So I don't have a checkout to show what the new checkout flow looks like right at the moment, but that's really just taking our existing and splitting it into a per vendor, per shipment kind of separation for the line item subtotals. And then some of the new functionality that Marketplace, we're also bringing like multiple bulk editing of orders and filtering, searching statuses in the and the expanded and minimized views in the orders. For some reason, my entire local thing is dead, so you're not seeing any changes, but this is what the screen looks like.
Let's go ahead and answer some questions, because they're piling up and there's some good ones in there. So talk about the rationale for having two types of shops, one where the user can just go in and create a shop through the UI, and one where the user is added by the administrator.
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So I guess we're not just talking about users here. We're talking about shops that exist underneath a marketplace. So there are some marketplaces that don't necessarily want anyone to be able to sign up. They want to have a curated list of shop owners. Maybe they're working with established brands or established existing merchants, and so they would want to be able to curate their own marketplace and curate the people who are selling within their marketplace. I think there's another type of marketplace, maybe more like you know, an eBay or an Etsy or something like that, where anyone can sell and anyone can sell their own products in that marketplace, and that would be kind of the second type where anyone can sign up to become a seller. So those kind of the two different use cases we're thinking about there.
Yep. Joe was asking about the product images in the Shopify demo. I don't think they saw that they synced over.
Yeah, the images.
Definitely pull in the images.
Yeah, I flipped screens before it had finished running the import, but yes, it pulls in all the images. And Spencer's working on order sync and inventory sync next. Order sync is probably the thing we'll release with, and inventory follows later. But yeah, images. So really, you should be able to run a shop side by side.
Yep. Developing a generic connector, like a just CSV spreadsheet importer.
Super simple to do, and I think again, Shopify Connector, the one that Spencer's working on, is probably a great example. You know, we've talked about this a lot before. It would be super simple for somebody to build a Google API, a Google Spreadsheets integration for all you people who are managing your shops on you know, a spreadsheet. Also, just as a general note, of course, that you can just export natively CSV if that's really what you're looking for at the DB level. But yeah, super simple to write a connector like that.
And there's an old connector that exists out there that would not be terribly difficult to port to kind of the modern import structure of Reaction too. So I think it needs a little bit of work talking to whoever asked the question about the Reaction product importer. And that importer used to work, and as we've evolved Reaction, that importer just needs a little bit of love to be updated to Reaction 1.5, and then it should work just fine.
Yep.
The other comment, I guess, about Reaction.import, that importer is actually really meant as a fixture tool for Reaction and not necessarily a data import or synchronization connector kind of tool. So it's been a little abused, and we'd like to kind of fix that and actually have firm things that are for importing and connecting, versus Reaction import is a private method used for fixtures.
If you would like to build a CSV importer, hit me up on Gitter or ask a question in our GitHub. I'd be happy to provide support and help you write that, but I'd love to see the community take ownership of it.
So the next question there about payment support, Spencer, you've been working on the Stripe Connect, which is you want to talk a little bit about that, but right now that's our only marketplace payment method that we plan to support out of the gate.
Yeah, which question was that? Sorry, looking through.
It was just a question about what types of payment support, and there's also a question about controlling inventory. Maybe just some high-level answers
so
there.
I see a couple questions on payment support. So in Marketplace, a update or a commit that I recently pushed is support for Stripe Connect. Right now we support Stripe Connect and direct charges, which is one layer of Stripe Connect. There's a lot of other ways you can implement Stripe Connect, but a direct charge essentially allows a marketplace to place a charge on behalf of another shop or a merchant. So the way this works is that after you sign up for a shop, you can actually go and create or log into your own Stripe account, and that Stripe account will then be synced with the main marketplace shop. And the marketplace can then charge a fee on top of every transaction, but the charges then go to each shop, and it's based on kind of who owns what product. So if you have 3 products in your cart, when you check out, we'll create a charge for each shop that's represented by those 3 products. If that's 3 different shops, we'll create 3 different charges, one for each shop, and the marketplace can take a percentage cut off of each of those charges. So that's kind of the basics of how the payments in a marketplace setting work.
Let's talk a little bit about the question around deploying the multi-shop, the marketplace into production. This question is more around, how it should be deployed in production for HA, for high traffic scenarios. kind of a little bit more about the architecture decisions as it relates to high traffic. So it's a big question. We may not get to all of it here, but thought I'd throw that one out there.
Well, I think, we get asked about this a lot, and this is our managed platform, is our deployment tooling there. And I can say we've spent a lot of time, effort, money, refactored 3 or 4 times, 5 times maybe.
In October, we'll be at this for 4 years, and we've probably been working on this particular issue for about the whole time.
Yeah, so yeah. I would say it isn't as easy as it sounds, and you can run a shop yourself, and you can deploy a shop yourself, and you'll be able to tweak it. But I do think there's a lot of different moving parts if you really want to do it well, which is to say that you need to have a MongoDB replica set. They need to be on some physical or persistent data volumes to ensure that the data can be moved and reused as you add replica sets, or you need load balancers in there. You need SSL on all your endpoints, of course. You need the app containers themselves. I mean, Reaction plus Meteor takes some memory, so you need some decent memory instances. More than one of them would be best. They don't have to be huge containers though, but more than one container. I mean, I think really the picture that we're painting is that you really need a classic, like, high availability architecture. In our case, we're building that within a container system, and we have orchestration tools around that. But if you were going to do it with VMs or physical boxes or whatever, you'd probably need the same basic cluster architecture. To put the biggest thing I would say is to put MongoDB and the app on the same application, try to run it on a single instance, regardless of the horsepower you're putting in there. That won't work. You're bogging down the single-threaded node plus MongoDB, and it's not going to work out. Yeah.
We'll definitely go into more detail around our managed platform and just some of the scenarios around our architecture in future blog posts. It's a really good question. The next one is about our database schema. Can you, high level, just talk about the database schema that we've been using for Marketplace? Again, another big question.
Yeah, and I'll just generically answer that, even though it was directed for Spencer. But really, the schema has not altered or changed too dramatically from, I'm going to say maybe there's 15 different fields that have been added or changed or modified. But the schema is pretty much 95% identical to the existing schema. We always architected for Marketplace. So it wasn't so much the schema that's changed as much as the implementation throughout the code of how we determine the current shop ID, and how we determine what the current publication from the collection should be showing. So that's been the biggest changes.
Yep. Jeffrey, I see that you have a question. You're having some trouble with the Reaction product importer package. Put an issue in GitHub for that, and we'll take a look. That's what we were talking about, that we'd love to see the community involved in helping with a CSV type importer, and Spencer will hop in and help with some questions and clarifications.
Let me reiterate the answer to that question is that you should not actually be using the Reaction product importer for trying to import products. You should instead just use JSON to import directly into MongoDB. If you're trying to do any imports, or to use the Shopify connector if you're going to loop through and iterate and try to build a product. So there's a difference between having a data set that's fully ready to import, in which case just do that at the command line with regular Mongo tools. But if you're trying to build programmatically, take a look at Shopify.
Yep.
And I think that Reaction product importer may be a third-party plugin and not a core Reaction plugin as well.
Yep.
So definitely just jump into Gitter or a GitHub issue, and we'll help to clarify and point you in the right direction. This is another question related to Magento and Magento connectors. This is not on our current roadmap, but we're happy to work with anyone in the community who wants to help to build a Magento connector. Again, just jump into Gitter or create a GitHub issue, and we'll help to guide. And we've already done some of the foundational work with the Shopify connector. And so we can get this on the roadmap and get this going. There's already in the community someone building a Spree importer, Sage importer, a connector, and I'm sure Magento is not too far from happening.
I know there is somebody working on
Great.
Magento. I just don't remember. Right. They're in the room probably. So check them out.
If it's you, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even if the community doesn't do those, we will get to them.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to it, especially for the kind of the top third-party platforms. Question that comes up regularly on our reaction action is the migration from React to Blaze. Do we have an update on that? Kind of where are we in the progress?
Yeah. So
process.
We did slow it a little bit down so that we could focus on Marketplace. So once we're done with Marketplace version 1, this is alpha version 1, let's say on the 15th, we'd like to circle back and complete those because we still need to finish the React dashboard. There's a number of dashboard things like settings panels and stuff that just need to be converted over. And also because our primary goal is to get SSR fully implemented and working, and we need to take another look at that because we also put that on pause to focus on Marketplace. So after the 15th, part of the team at least will be turning around to focus on finishing those. There's still a fair amount work there, and we would appreciate any contributions that anyone wants to make to that. We focused, I think, primarily on converting anything that might be client side. And the last thing that really needs to be done there is checkout, which we're actually working on right now. So with Marketplace, I think almost all the client UI that's facing a regular user, I think that's 98% converted. I think we're talking dashboard elements at that point, but still a blocker for us to finishing SSR.
Yeah. Great. So the question around inventory, what are the different ways someone could control, kind of manage inventory in reaction?
So the way that inventory module works is that there is quantity stored on the product collection and in the product itself, because the idea was always that if you had no inventory management tools, you would still want to have basic plus and minus kind of inventory maintained within the product collection. But the moment what our inventory system does is it hooks into an update to the products collection, and whenever there's an update to the product collection, i.e., I added it to cart, I'm gonna take one away from the product itself inventory. As soon as that happens, our inventory hooks run, and at that point, right now, we adjust a inventory collection that is completely separated. That has like different statuses, like reserved, back ordered, those kind of statuses. You could easily replace the inventory system just by disabling our inventory plugin, which is an optional included plugin, and putting in your own hook for the inventory hook, identical to what we have, running any third-party inventory through the hooks and back. So the inventory system is meant to be completely replaceable and isolated. So you can go super simple, or you can use our slightly more advanced example or your own.
Great. I'm going to use the opportunity for this next question to invite Machiko to come on up and talk about our docs. Damoon asked a question around will we be doing some more in-depth tutorials, specifically around Reaction plugin architecture. Spencer's series and blog posts around registry and other areas are super popular, we know, and we definitely plan to do more with our docs and tutorials. So this is Machiko. She's our community engineer, and she's going to share her screen and talk a little bit about our docs. Definitely still ask questions. We've got lots of time to get to questions around Marketplace, docs, you name it. So keep bringing on the questions.
Awesome. So, like Sarah said, I'm one of the community engineers, and I've been focusing on improving the docs and like community experience for everyone here at Reaction. So if you haven't taken a look at the docs page for a while, you might notice that we have a new landing page that might help you figure out where you want to get to first to get your question answered. So for anybody here who's using Reaction right now, and the people that your clients who are using Reaction admin have questions about how to set up their store, the store guide in the first icon would be the place to go. And the tutorials there are written very clearly with numbered instructions with lots of screenshots and stuff. And so that's what that's for. In addition to that, we have the developer guide, which has, as many of you may know, our plugin tutorial and our theming tutorial, which are all going through updates right now. And we have our React Component Style Guide. We have our React Component Style Guide, which we're also about to update. And lastly, the most recent change is that we have a core API output of all our JS doc comments. This is still, a lot of it is a work in progress, but it looks a little bit like this. And for example, if you have a specific question about how to use a specific method, you can see the parameters, what it returns, the type, and all that kind of stuff.
And I should say that we're probably by Marketplace release on the 15th, we'll have gone through and sort of added structure to all this, because we never really saw how it looked, even though we've been writing this for a long time. So we'll be adding structure to organize it and clean it up, right?
Yep. And Aaron brings up a good point. When you're trying to look at documentation for things that haven't hit our release yet, in our docs page, you can see all of our release versions, and you can also see documentation that we might have put up for things that haven't hit master yet. So we have, if you click on Marketplace like this here, you'll get a page. You'll get a slightly different version of the docs that'll give you documentation for things that we might not have released into master yet. So specifically for questions about Marketplace, which I've noticed we have a lot of, we'll definitely be putting up content just for these different feature branches. So that's another cool thing about our docs. And lastly, I wanted to point out the fact that all of our docs, just like all of our stuff, is all open source. And so if you do see an error in the docs, let's say you had an installation question and you notice that something about your version isn't working right, you can click edit on GitHub right there to suggest an update. Especially if it's just Markdown, you don't need to clone this down locally. You can click the edit file to suggest a change and send that up as a pull request directly from github.com. That's a great way to get started in the community, whether it's just a typo or the screenshot's out of date or a link is not working. We'd love it if you got involved in kind of keeping our docs alive and getting involved in the community. Another place that people have been getting involved is on the issues page in the docs. So if you're finding that a tutorial is not working for you, or there's something that you want answered in a more like structured way than just asking a question on Gitter or in the forums, feel free to open up an issue in the docs repository here, and that'll come straight to me, and we can help you out there. One community issue that I've been really liking is that I've opened an issue just for people to talk about different community plugins, packages, themes, or recommendations that they've seen written about Reaction. And so Ali, I think from Boomer Digital, has been adding different plugins that she's seen out in the community. And a lot of times we on the core team don't know about all of these things that are happening all over the world. And so we'd love it if you got involved that way. So yeah, that's the update for me.
I think that the general recap there is we're expecting great things out of documentation because, oh, thank God Machiko is here and it's not just us devs writing docs anymore.
Yeah.
Because you know how good devs are at writing documentation.
Yep. So definitely reach out to me via Gitter, forums, GitHub, anything like that. And if there are any kinds of tutorial formats that you prefer, like whether it's like videos or screen shares or that kind of stuff. Those are all feedback that I'd love to hear. If
Really
there are
examples, if you
exactly
examples out there in the wild of docs that you think are really well done, send them our way. We're always looking to improve.
Yep.
And actually, the first question we have here is about right now is about Spencer's blog post and the Reaction plugin architecture. And do you want to talk a little bit? That's a series, right? And
yeah. So another thing that we do have on our homepage now is we have the docs landing page of all of our engineering related blog posts. So that's also another really great place to get a deep dive into Reaction architecture, and you can find all of the blog posts in the engineering tag. I can't figure it out right now, but the blog would be a good place to go for that. Yep. Oh yeah, here it is. The tag /engineering would be a good place to go to read more about our stuff.
Publishing, about one engineering specific blog post a week or every couple weeks. So those will constantly be pushed out via our social channels on the blog. You'll see it on the docs homepage, and we'll be doing more deep dives into pretty much every area of the platform over the coming weeks and months. So definitely a focus for us is on content of all forms: video, tutorials, docs. We know it's pretty much the backbone of our existence. The docs regularly see over 50% of our traffic in terms of what we're seeing at reactioncommerce.com. And that's why Machiko is here to help us and guide us. Let's keep going with some questions. There's another question around the Blaze to React migration.
so this was a good segue actually from the previous question, because that was about maybe a more explanation about the architecture there. I would say, I don't know if we're going to write a tutorial on that, because we'll probably be done before we write the tutorial. But I would say that the best way to get comfortable with the Blaze to React stuff is probably just look at the difference between a plugin that, choose a simple plugin maybe that was written in Blaze and that we've converted to React. And I don't know if maybe somebody can chime and put one in the chat. That's a good suggestion, but that's the way I would look at it. But really, most of the architecture doesn't change when we do that. It's really just about the UI components.
Yep.
And then
the longer term plans for the back end and the perennial question around Meteor.
Yeah, which I'll do the perennial waffling. And
for now.
For now, yeah. But what I think we see as going forth is that there will be another layer. We have a project that's called the Reaction API base, which is a package you can find on our Reaction Commerce repo that is a GraphQL wrapper we've been working on to allow us to use a GraphQL server for building packages that aren't even part of Reaction Commerce, but still have access to all the Meteor-based Mongo collections and all of the tooling that we've built within the Meteor Sphere. So gradually we'll start building client components and services off of those tools that aren't actually physically part of Reaction. Additionally, part of the Meteor Sphere of Reaction, I should say. Additionally, and I think that's something that's in progress that you'll probably start seeing the real efforts come in Q1, Q2 of next year. The next part of that is, Jeremy just posted that. The next part of that process is also the universal catalog that we've been talking about, and this is a way to publish from the existing collections, the existing products, to a more normalized service-oriented catalog. And that will also be a way of abstracting away from everything that is Reaction as it stands right now and allowing you to build another UI layer on top of this. So I do see at some point there being a sort of an administrative functionality to the Reaction UI that can be a standalone shop and can manage marketplaces, but can also be used as a publishing tool to a more normalized, bigger scope. And that's the direction that we're working towards and we're heading towards. And the requirements for us to get there are full NPM support of packages, full kind of microservice architecture. And the question is really, this is my long-winded dance around, but the question is really whether Meteor can get there by the time we need to be there, which is really Q1 of next year is our target for that architecture to be there. And I think 1.6 is coming along quite nicely, supports a lot of this. We'll see what happens with Meteor 1.6, you know, and see if they have any plans beyond 1.6, which I haven't actually seen. That's the question, and reevaluate this at Q1, Q2 of next year.
Right. Someone's asking about the kind of go forward plan. Will we have 2 branches, one for marketplace and then one for single tenant shop, or is it just going to be one branch,
and marketplace will become the branch. We already got rid of development for that reason, so development is no longer meaningful. And it'll be one branch, and marketplace is fairly stable for single shop right now. In fact, where we're still working around the rough edges is really when it comes to enabling and adding marketplace in multiple shops. But for a single shop, it should be fairly stable, and that will be the primary focus of our release by the 15th, is that it is fully stable. There's already a ton of fixes that aren't in 1.4. It's really a much better branch already than the current master branch. But that'll be the focus, is making it completely stable for a single shop by 2 weeks, as well as all the rough edges should be ironed out.
Yep. Question around why it takes such a long time for migration and deployment of a simple Reaction store. I'll start this one, and then I'm sure folks will chime in. It's a tough one to answer. I mean, you know, we've seen Reaction shops get implemented and deployed in, you know, weeks, let's say 4 to 6 weeks at the low end, but it can also take 4 to 6 or 8 months. It really depends on the complexity of the shop. And so we've seen different estimates like you're seeing from agencies or freelancers. And if there's anyone who needs help with putting together a proposal for a client and wants our advice or feedback, definitely get in touch with us, reach out to us via chat, send us an email at hello@. As more and more developers and development partners get familiar with the platform, you'll start to see some consistency around these proposals, and we're here to help. We know it's confusing a little bit. This is a new platform, but it is something that I think the learning curve is really, really quick, and the things that you can do on other platforms, you can do more easily on Reaction. And so the development time we've seen is actually faster and more efficient.
Yeah, I would say the implementations that I've seen have been that we've had privy to are actually a lot more complex than what a Shopify or Magento installation might be. So it's difficult to do a direct one-to-one comparison. Like, you know, those platforms don't support marketplaces. A lot of times this has been, even in the past, before we released the official marketplace, Reaction has been used for marketplaces. So there's been complexity there. I think one of the reasons is also most people looking at Reaction, I think, are doing it because they want to be completely customizable and flexible. So that's also adding to the wish list that might not be, you know, it's quick to do something. If you want to adopt Reaction without doing any customization, we can make that happen in about 3 seconds. You know, it all depends on the complexity of your wish list, I guess, and the understanding of who you're working with.
Are we planning on having a centralized plugin management solution for Reaction, something like NPM or Atmosphere, but just for Reaction plugins and themes?
Yes, but not NPM or Atmosphere. So we plan to get to the point where we're using NPM for all of our packages, but that they will be able to be deployed as services. So the Reaction API base is part of that direction that we're shooting for. But in the long run, I would like to see as little atmosphere as possible. I would like to deprecate any package that's using atmosphere, and I have that on a long-term goal. That's probably more, a year plus, but I do want to deprecate all atmosphere. I want us to be all of the current things that are living in the imports plugins directory. I want those to be NPM packages, and you can actually look at one of my experimental branches, the NPM manifest branch, and you'll see that they're all NPM packages. You won't be able to run that code because it requires some tricks, but it does show you that that's the direction we're heading. And then finally, I don't really agree with a plugin architecture as being the right answer to an e-commerce platform. I really think that is more about versioned, customized services. So each plugin should, in the long run, be able to run as an independent service running in a container, not as a core part of a mono repo experience, which is and I should note that we have a mono repo, a monolithic code base with all of our plugins in there, specifically just to make it a better development experience for the developer, so you can see everything. There's no reason all of those plugins have to live like they do right now, and eventually they won't.
Yeah. So I'll wade in and take Calvin's question around, what do we think, what are our thoughts if someone were to copy our system and make another thing similar to Shopify or another third-party solution? So look, we are open source. It is in our DNA. You can download, modify, extend the platform. You could sell it commercially. We are GPL licensed. And so I just would say, look at the GPL license. Once you decide to sell it commercially, like a Shopify type solution, there are specific requirements that any modifications that you make would be given back to the core. So definitely it is the spirit of open source. We expect that folks will be out there and we'll try this. And in that case, we'd love to work with you. We think it makes the platform stronger. It makes it better. It's exactly why open source exists. So don't be shy. Like, it's something that we've thought of. It's something we've thought of from the very beginning. It's why we chose the GPL license. And it's something that we expect to see and expect to happen. And it's part of our managed platform. So our managed platform is absolutely out there as a solution for deploying and managing reaction shops in a way that's much more, it's different from Shopify for sure, but it also overlaps. So I hope that answers the question. Definitely reach out to me directly or any of us on the core team. Happy to talk about our thoughts around open source and our choice of license.
And I would expand that to say it's not copy this system, it's fork this system.
Exactly.
And contribute your changes back. If you're going to fork it and start building your Shopify solution, I wish you luck, and that'll be great, and that's good, and the feedback, the experience, everything will be great. But I think we have a really a long-term roadmap. We all sat down and really said, what is it going to, what is the most awesome thing that's going to take us 10 years to build?
Yeah. So Aaron and I in particular, as the founders of this, would rather partner with you and see you work with us rather than fork it and copy it and move in a different direction. It's just better for everyone involved. It's the spirit of open source, and you get the benefit of our decades of experience in the 4 years that we've already been working on this. So that's kind of our thoughts there, and kind of how we feel about it. And again, about the T-shirt, there's a link in the chat for filling out your T-shirt information with your address. Let's see, we're running out of time. We'll take one or two more questions. Let's see, let me see a good one. We'll take that one about the Semantic UI CSS package. Someone's having trouble. Reaction didn't see the CSS files. So this is more a specific bug. Maybe you want to put this into Gitter, or I don't know if there's any questions, any answers or thoughts here specifically.
No, I mean, one of the things I think the good, the bad, the ugly of using Meteor is that Meteor has a well, first of all, technical debt of the decisions that have made over the JavaScript community, as well as in the Meteor community, about package naming and trying to be clever about packet folders and all of these things. And so a lot of times folders within our app and within Meteor generally have all sorts of hidden rules and meanings. So I would recommend that the answer there is probably to go back to the Meteor docs and understand the folder structure. Second, even though we have entertained different UI frameworks and have looked at different UI frameworks and had, even Spencer, in fact, wrote, I think, a Material UI fork of our theme at one point in time. The reality is we don't really think about it and support it. We'd rather say extend, change R, less than CSS, and that's our recommendation.
Yep. The last question is around our managed platform, just talking a little bit about the solution and the pricing. So this is essentially an orchestration service that provides deployment, multiple staging environments, auto scaling, built-in automatic SSL, domains, monitoring. I'm sure I'm leaving stuff out. It's multi-zone replication. It sits on top of Kubernetes. It's got a lot of power and functionality. Its pricing starts at $2,500 a month and scales up based on sessions. We do have a development environment that starts closer to $800 a month as you're in active development mode. If you have any questions around pricing or features or functionality, definitely reach out to us. We'll do a detailed demo and walk you through the platform and the features and functionality. And I'm sure there's probably some stuff to add.
I would just add that don't be frightened by the price. Let's figure that out. What we would rather have is you come to us with your use case and let us help you with the deployment solution, and then you can determine if it's the right answer for you. Because I think it's pretty kick butt, but that's only because I'm a super nerd. I think once you use it and play with it, it's super nerdy cool. Definitely. And it's worth it. Yeah. Yep.
We're out of time. I appreciate all the questions. Anything that we didn't get to, like I said at the start, we will answer in our follow-up recap blog post. You can definitely get stickers. Just shoot us a note, Getter. We're happy to send out stickers and T-shirts. Everyone have a great day or great evening. Thanks again for participating. We'll see you at the next Reaction Action.